Tansen netutemtek eguan niwahkumagnak asniusko nesigasun Nigani Tutsania. Hi everyone, my name is Irene Oakes. I am from the Nigani Cree Nation in southwest Saskatchewan, and I'm happy to be here. Well, first of all, I've been dancing since the mid-1970s, so I've heard lots and lots of stories. I actually went around traveling, I think it was about 10 years ago, and I went around talking to the originators of the women's fancy from all the different areas, and every story is so different. Every story. And when young ladies ask me about the woman's fancy, I go, you need to go to your area and find out the stories. So there's stories like from the Midwest. They talk about the time where they wanted to, I guess it was the beginning of the women's lib movement, and they wanted to dance just like the men. And they started dancing like the men, and they got booed. It wasn't acceptable. And they kept persevering, and finally they got accepted, but it took many years before they got accepted into that arena as women fancy dancers. So that's from the Midwest. I remember talking to Irene Tutusis from Poundmaker, and she said, back then, in the 60s, 70s, we didn't have grand entries, so they would just say, all the women come to dance. So the woman would dance whatever style that they would dance, and the woman fancy back then, I guess you would call it, they would dance with their buckskin dresses and start doing kind of like the jingle dress movements. A lot of them started wearing just cloth dresses. A lot of them started wearing the shawls, but still kept their feet close to the ground. One of the stories that she said, there's always trendsetters. And she shared with me a story of Georgine the Thunderchild from Thunderchild. She was a trendsetter because she started lifting her feet higher. Because ladies just kept their feet close, and she lifted her feet higher, and everybody was, oh my God, look at her, she's lifting her feet higher. So if you go to every area, like Alberta, I remember seeing Carolyn Buffalo, Lillian Gadwa, the Saddleback girls, all dancing with their different styles. You go into Minnesota, there's the Hall girls from Fort Hall. You go to Standing Buffalo, there's the Goodwill girls, Uzichbis. You go to Thunderchild, and I always say Thunderchild and Standing Buffalo are the premier locations of powwow, because that's where I believe that's where powwow began, because they have the longest standing powwows. We've got so many trendsetters too from Thunderchild. You go there and man, young people need to research and just see all the young ladies that took it to that next level. There's the Blackbird sisters, Lorraine and Lorna, the Jimmy girls, that Marlene, all her sisters. There's the Horse sisters, Bernadine, she's Graham now. There's all those ones, and there's Diane Goodwill from Standing Buffalo, Beverly, and Sharon Uzichby, and there's other ones from there. I guess I'll share my origin of fancy shawl from me. And I started dancing in the mid-1970s, and I was inspired by following my cousin Charlotte Wolfchild from Rocky Boy, Montana, and she danced with a blue buckskin dress, and she started doing the footwork. She was doing that toe tapping, but she kept her arms really still, and she traveled all over Saskatchewan and into Montana. Her mother always took her everywhere, and she was always coming home with these big trophies, because before then, way back in those days, they're giving like $20 or $50 for first place, but humongous trophies. Wow. She has trophies galore. So I started looking at her and I thought, I wonder if I could do that. And I always had a buckskin top. My mom always made sure I had stuff like that, because we had our yearly parades and so on and so forth. But I actually was more into horses. But in 1975, I lost a sister. Her name was Valerie. And in our family, she was the one that wanted to be the fancy dancer. She always said, I want to be a fancy shawl dancer. So my mom Jean, made her a little buckskin dress, and she was losing her hair because of chemotherapy, but she wanted to dance, and we lost her December 8th, 1975 to leukemia. And back in those days, I was newly married and not very happy with myself because lots of things going on in my life. And one night she came to me in a dream, and she was sitting on my bed, and she was a little girl, and she told me, she said, Irene, I wanted to dance. Why aren't you dancing? I wanted to dance. And I woke up and I was expecting to see her, and that next day I quit whatever bad stuff I was doing, and I started working out, started running, did everything. I ate right, started working on some beadwork for myself. I made myself a red set, and this was about the early 1980s, and World Assembly of First Nations came on in, I think it was 1982, and I trained like you wouldn't believe. I was like 198 pounds. My usual weight's like 145. And so I trained like crazy, and I danced at that powwow. I worked really hard, but one of the things that I went to United Tribes and at Bismarck, and I watched the Women's Fancy, and Patsy Hall and Bonnie Deere, she's Bonnie Claremont now, she's the mother of Oki, who's the lead singer of The Boys. They had a tie, and I was watching them, and I was just totally mesmerized by their beautiful dancing, their footwork. They're really, like, you just watch their feet and you're just dazzled. And they had a tie, and I just thought, wow, I think I could do that. I was probably in my late 20s.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I remember going to a fair at Minot, and I was telling a fancy dancer from North Dakota, I said, I want to be the best fancy shawl dancer I can. And he said, you know what you need to do? That's missing in the woman's fancy is you need to bounce. And I said, oh, okay. And then he said, no, honest, bounce. Women aren't bouncing. He said, bring the bounce in. So I said, well, okay, what do I do? And he said, get a little mini trampoline. So all that winter, I just bounced on this mini trampoline to powwow music. I remember my late dad, my mom and my dad, Gordon Oakes and Gene Oakes were my backbone. They always supported me and everything. My dad, I remember my late dad said, you're going to start doing good now, but always remember to give back. And you know, every time I go in the arena, I think of my sister. I always go, okay, I'm dancing for you, Valerie. Remember that. So I guess the message I would give young ladies is find that reason inside you why you're dancing. If it's like Lorin, my daughter Lorin, I'm always telling her that. And I said, always give back, because what you have, we're supposed to share. That's the kind of people we are. We always share. So I always, all of my kids, you know, if they, whatever they do in the powwow arena, give back to somebody, give back to the drum, because without the drum, you're not going to be able to dance. I guess that's the biggest message I would give, is find that reason inside yourself, because I've been dancing for just about 100 years now. But I can honestly say that it's given me the strength, the holistic strength to still be able to run without, you know, I've broken my ankle twice with injuries and stuff, but the motivation that you give yourself is because you've got the mental strength, you've got the spiritual strength, because you've always got to lay some sage down, you've got to think about the people who've gone on and you dance for them, you go into ceremonies because you have to give back. You've got the physical strength, always have to work out, walking, running, cross-training, running stairs. My daughter and my son run stairs all the time at the University of Saskatchewan, so it's just something we always do. So that the young ladies, and I actually shared this with a lot of young ladies, is find that reason why you're dancing, and find the history from your area on who are the people that you should be giving tobacco to, who are the people you should be giving money to say thank you for blazing the trail for us, because that's so key. You know, you can't go out there and just, all right, I'm done, gonna go running, and that's it. But you've got to give all of yourself into that arena, and always go in with good thoughts, because, you know, we know all about lateral violence, right? And we've always got to remember, just go in with those good thoughts, praise everybody else, because life's too short, right? Especially now with COVID-19, we've got so much things working against us, and the only way that we're going to remain strong is through prayer, through finding that inner strength within ourselves. When I started again with the buckskin. I carried a shawl, carried a fan, and just kept everything close to my waist. And again, my cousin Charlotte Wolfchild did footwork, so I made sure and did footwork. But one of the things that late Bill Baker always told me, he said, whatever you do on one side, do on the other side. You have to have that balance. You can't just kick over here and then do whatever. So after that, a lot of young ladies started going into just wearing the cloth dresses, and they carried the shawl. And they, some of them just put their hands on their hips, and they again did a lot. And they used to have that gold dangly thing right here with beads.
Right.
So not many people wore plumes or feathers. And then they started wearing the capes. I remember hearing a story when I went to South Dakota, and they said there's a lady who was big-breasted, so they told her start wearing a cape. So from there, I went to South Dakota a lot. The women started wearing capes, and then from there, the capes started getting a little bit. I remember Missy Goodwill from Standing Buffalo. She started wearing just regular capes with nice bead trim and stuff like that, and just regular shawl. But again, it wasn't arm movement. There was a lot keeping close to the waist. And then from there, it started becoming where there was more beadwork. You were dancing with fully beaded leggings, moccasins. You're dancing with a fully beaded cape. And what was really popular that time was the Grace or Mini Horses shawl type of long fringe shawl. And Gracie again was a trendsetter. She's probably one of the most fit women I've ever met in my whole life. Awesome role model. Never says anything. She's always so encouraging, but she was gifted with that style of dance. And I don't think I've ever seen another woman that could mimic her style, but she did that flat fringe stuff, and I actually got some shawls from the lady who did her shawls. Then after that, they started doing designs on the shawl. So again, the trendsetters on that one would have been Lisa Ewok, because they started bringing more and more ribbon work. Again, still it was footwork, but Gracie, I started kind of moving her shawl a bit because of her dance style. Lisa started moving her shawl around as well. And then I guess the person that really took it to that next level from other than my bounce, I guess, was Tang Shi Claremont. She did, she started doing the arm movements. And from the travels that I did, she would make sure that her arms were moving around and right in sync with what she was doing. So, ultimate shawl dancer, really always goes with her full everything when she goes into the arena. And nowadays, it's a lot of again arm movements, lots of dangling your feet and stuff like that. But again, it's different trends. I traveled mainly in the U.S. when my girls were growing up, as well as my first set of kids, Terrence and Christy. We traveled mainly in the States because it seemed like we were, I wouldn't say accepted. You just love the feeling of being out there. So I used to like going into North Dakota, South Dakota, and then we kind of moved to Minnesota, Wisconsin, depending on the drum that we're kind of, hey, we're going to go there because so-and-so is going to be there. And up here, Northern Cree, Blackstone, wherever they're at, they're like, hey, Blackstone's going to be there. Let's go over there. Just want to thank everyone. Keep on keeping on and being strong, because without our strength, we're going to lose our culture. I always say dancing is who I am, and everybody needs to have that mindset. Dancing is a part of who I am, and I'm going to continue dancing because that's who I am.